Today I'm going to talk a little bit about our work on nuclear disarmament. For us, this is a moral issue because of the simple fact that it robs people of their fundamental right to live. This was the conviction of the second president of the Soka Gakkai, Jose Toda, and it's a conviction that has been passed down to us ever since. And I know that for a lot of people in the public, the threat of nuclear weapons isn't the number one issue on everyone's mind, but we still feel like it's very important because it represents an existential threat. For all of us, nuclear weapons hang over our heads like a sword of Damocles. So in order to help make sure that this issue is not forgotten amongst all the other issues out there, we focus on awareness raising and informal public education initiatives to help keep the issue of nuclear weapons in the public mind. And I'm going to just share a few of the ways that we do that. For example, SGI has produced a number of informational traveling exhibitions, and our most recent two exhibitions focusing on nuclear disarmament are called Transforming the Human Spirit from a Culture of Violence to a Culture of Peace, and Everything You Treasure for a World Free from Nuclear Weapons. And when Transforming the Human Spirit was created, the idea was to try to create in the public mind a linkage between the issue of the threat of nuclear weapons and the issue of human security, and by doing so to help people personalize the issue and galvanize public opinion in support of nuclear abolition. When we came out with Everything You Treasure, the idea was similar, but a little bit different. It was focused more on providing information and perspectives to inspire ordinary people to feel empowered to take action, that they can take action within their daily lives to make a difference. And it had a more specific aim towards building momentum towards a treaty, international treaty banning nuclear weapons. We also raise awareness through public lecture series in major cities throughout the United States. We call this our Culture of Peace Distinguished Speaker Series, and this was launched with the support of a gentleman named Anurul Chowdhury. He's a former UN Undersecretary General and was the principal architect in getting that declaration passed in the UN General Assembly in 1999. The idea behind this series is to help mainstream the values of the UN Culture of Peace initiative into society. And some of the past speakers that we've had who have focused on nuclear disarmament have been people like David Krieger, founder of the Nuclear Age Peace Foundation, Shigeko Sasamori, who is a survivor of the Hiroshima bombing, Sergio Duarte, former UN High Representative for Disarmament Affairs, and Jeffrey Boutwell, Executive Director of Pugwash Conferences, USA. In addition to holding these public lectures, we try to get as many of them online as possible and videos of them online as possible so more people can have access to them. And we publish excerpt or edited versions of the lectures in an annual publication called Voices for the Culture of Peace. The college students within the SGI-USA have also gotten involved. They launched an initiative called Our Nuclear Future, which is, the aim of which was to try to create a wave of dialogue on college campuses throughout the United States to remind people of the threat of nuclear weapons that still exists and to help build momentum towards abolition. And since that was launched in 2012, they've tracked 10,000 dialogues on college campuses and at SGI-USA events throughout the country. We also work with the international SGI network from time to time. For example, in April of last year, we worked together to help organize an interfaith symposium at the United States Institute of Peace, focusing on the humanitarian consequences of nuclear weapons. This conference would go on to become the first in a series of international interfaith gatherings that would produce a joint faith statement from faith groups on the subject of nuclear disarmament, focusing on the humanitarian perspective. We also use quite a bit of the resources, multimedia resources produced by the SGI. One example is a website called peoplesdecade.org. It's an awareness-raising website that was launched as part of their People's Decade for Nuclear Abolition campaign that was launched in partnership with the International Campaign for the Abolition of Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, and International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, IPPNW. They also produced a video series to record for posterity the testimonies of survivors of the atomic bombings in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, wanting to make sure that as the number of hibakusha continued to diminish in number, that those stories could be preserved for future generations so they can never forget the horror of those experiences from the people who lived through it themselves. So I think through putting these resources into action, by holding these sorts of events for us within the SGI-USA Buddhist community, we feel we can stay more deeply connected to our deepest ambitions and desire to rid the world of nuclear weapons. And I know that there are a lot of people who feel like nuclear weapons will always be with us. But we're determined that the story of humankind will not be one that's destined to be shackled with nuclear weapons, that one day they'll be gone from the human experience. And just as slavery, legalized slavery went from an institutionalized reality to abolition, so too can nuclear weapons. And that really is our driving force, and that's what we're determined to keep on working hard to do through these activities. So thank you very much.